This is all part of my dastardly plan, just to make a bunch of short videos and have you guys watch them. I got 40 views this week, because I made 3 short videos instead of 1 long one. Anyway, like I was saying, my boss, Tony, she hired me without me having a driver's license. And you might ask yourself, hey man, you're going to be 30. Why don't you have a driver's license? I just didn't want to go through the hassle. I didn't want to have to, pay for the vehicle and pay for the gas and the upkeep and the oil and the insurance. I was just like, you know what? I'm going to walk everywhere. I'm going to hoof it. And, if I need to get somewhere with a car, I just pay a cab. Because paying a cab to go to doctor's appointments and stuff has got to be cheaper than owning and maintaining a vehicle, and it has been. But it's a giant pain in the butt too, especially when you have to get to work. And I am not super keen on, working 2 hours of my shift just for transportation costs. It's got to be cheaper to own a vehicle. So, sorry I had to shut that because we have some interesting wildlife that keep making their way into my domain here. It's my domain! You stay in there now. Anyway. But, I was looking at my paycheck and the hours don't make sense. Maybe I'm just dumb. Maybe I don't have a grasp on what constitutes overtime. I thought it was anything over 8 hours in a day, and anything over 40 hours in a work week. But what do I know? But I was looking at my paycheck, and it was under $600. And, I don't have any garnishments. I was like, so, you say that I worked 70-some hours, and then I got a bunch of OT, where'd the money go? And I'm looking at it, and there was a subscription. She took out $115 for my DPSST, which is Department of Public Safety and Security Transportation. Anyway, it's your guard card. It's the license that you need to be a guard here in Oregon. And the thing about that is, you might be like, well, that's super nice that, she trained you to be a guard and just let you pay it back a couple of months after you started working for her. But the thing is when we did this, she said that, hey, we'll waive the fee as long as you work for the company for a year. Remember how I told you that I kind of irritated her a little bit ago? Well, part of me working for her, one of the stipulations was for me to get my license and to get it ASAP. And she was telling me that she's hired another guy who's like her right-hand man at this point, and he didn't have a license at the time, and he got his license within a week. Got a license, got a truck, everything set up, good to go. The thing is that she hired me at the beginning of May. I believe so, yeah, beginning of mid-May. So school had just gotten out. So I went down to the DMV, and they were like, you got to pass your written test, and then we can schedule you for a driver's test. And I said, sweet, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and take it. If I do pass it, when can I take my driver's test? And they looked it up, and they were like, the first opening we have is in the middle of July. And I was like, in 2 months? And they're like, yeah, no, we're pretty much booked because, all the kids get out of high school and they want to take the driver test and get their licenses. And so I was like, oh, crap. And I told the boss lady, and she flat out didn't believe me. She actually called Salem and called the state offices, and they told her the same thing. So she got kind of bent out of shape about that and whatnot. Because she was telling me, she's like, I understand it may take you, maybe a couple weeks, maybe even 3 weeks for you to get your license. But she said that she would take care of transportation to and from work. And that worked for 2 or 3 weeks. And then it just kind of dropped off. Like the right-hand guy I was talking to you about a little bit ago, he quit responding to my text messages and my phone calls. I had to actually go to a job site where he was working to actually talk with him. And he told me rather matter-of-factly that he wasn't taking any phone calls or text messages from anybody but his boss anymore. And I said, okay, are you going to, come pick me up after work and take me home? And he was like, nope, I'm not doing that anymore. I don't get paid enough. And I'm like, dude, you're salaried. Like, this was part of the deal. How am I supposed to get to and from work? So, 4 or 5 days of cab fares before I finally called the boss. And I was like, look, lady, I've had to pay $60 in the past week for cab fares. Like, that's like a day and a half of work just for transportation. Like, I can't do this anymore. You need to give me a job site that's in town. You have job sites in town. I can walk to them. Why are you not giving them to me? She was like, well, I don't need you there. I need you out of town is what it is. It's a 15-minute drive to get out here in beautiful sunny Oregon. I drive across the bay and stuff. But anyway, she said, oh, I'm sorry you had to take a cab. I'll go ahead and reimburse you. And I said, all right, cool. And I told her it was like $62, $65, something like that. She said, okay, I'll get that to you when I have cash. Well, after a couple of weeks, I was like, okay, like, are you going to give it to me in cash? Because if you pay me on my check, there's going to be taxes taken out of it. But I guess I'll take that rather than just no money at all. And she came back to me with, well, how am I supposed to know you actually took a cab? How do I know you're not just trying to get me to give you money? And I said, I didn't know you were going to reimburse me for one. But then she started to grill me on, like, well, what did the cabbie look like? Was it male or female? I was like, was it an old guy? I don't know. And she was like, well, what days? And I was like, well, it's been a few weeks now. I mean, I guess I can look at the schedule and tell you what days. She's like, all right, I'll take that information and I'll go to the cab company and make sure that they have records of people taking you, from where you live out to where you work. I said, okay. I mean, or you could just give me some money, whatever. But, yeah, it's been about a month now, and I haven't heard anything back from her. So, I don't know if we're just going to chalk that up to lost wages or what, but... yeah, I'm kind of sad about the whole deal. And what was probably the final nail in the coffin is I called her a couple days ago after she scheduled me for 8 days straight of graveyard. And I understand that there are guys out there that work graveyard and you don't have any problem with it, and I'm just a big whiny baby because I don't want to do graveyard. But keep in mind that my wife also works full-time. Not full-time. She works part-time, sorry. That'd make it even worse. And I have an 11... Nope. He's going to be 1 year old on the 13th. So I have a 1-year-old at home. So sleeping, like I get off at 7 o'clock in the morning, I might get a couple hours of sleep before the child's up. And it's hard to keep one of those guys, from ripping apart the house and making a mess of things. So, the wife is feeling stressed, and she finally came to me and she was like, hey, tell your boss you can't work graveyards anymore. This is too hard. You don't get a bunch of sleep. You get really grumpy. And I'm like, yeah, I need to sleep, or I turn into a grumpy bear. So, after 8 days of graveyard, because she scheduled me for the last 2 days of the work week graveyard, and then scheduled me 6 days straight, I was just like, hey, lady, you need to, I can't do this anymore. I can't do graveyard. Like, I apologize, but, I'm not your man for the job. I figured I'd tell you before, you started getting reports that I was falling asleep on the job. And as a security officer, that's a bad idea. And she told me, well, you're going to go from full-time down to, 20 hours a week. And I said, whatever I got to do, if I have to get another part-time job, I can do that. I'll go flip tacos or however it is that you do that. But yeah, now that I look at my paycheck, that was cut since then, and she's taken out the DPSST fee. Does that mean that I'm not going to work at the company for a year? Does that mean she's thinking about cutting me loose? I don't know. And honestly, I don't even really want to talk to her because she's kind of a pain in the butt. And she's very needy and likes to be the boss. So, I don't know. I'm scheduled for 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm scheduled for 4 days this week. Graveyards again, which is weird. Didn't we just talk about this? So, I don't know. This might be one of the last vlogs I make out here. But, yeah. It's a beautiful day. It's a great job. I love it. Airplane! There's little birds and stuff. Whatever. Super bright. Sorry about that. But yeah, I figured I'd just get it all out there and kind of let people know what's going on. There's a buddy of mine who, I got to talk to him here today. I'm probably going to wait a few hours for him to wake up because he does graveyard as well. But his last paycheck, the boss shorted him 15 hours of overtime. 15 hours of overtime. So, I'm assuming he's working on that. He was saying he was going to report it to the labor board or something, but whatever. Nobody wants to lose their job because they're trying to teach their boss to do their job correctly. And for somebody who claims to have been doing this for 8 years, she can't even make a good schedule. So, whatever. But yeah. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just tired of the shenanigans. You know what I mean? I guess it was fun while it lasted, but it's a giant pain in the butt. Anyway, this is Dozer. Thanks for listening to my rant. Have a good day.